let's look at when and how to use the if function in Excel. Okay, now we use the if function if we want to set a particular condition and then check if that condition is true. Then it should return a specific value. Else, if that condition is not true, then it should return another particular value. Now, assuming this is ICA exams, okay, these are the students. And then, if anyone gets 50 or more, then it should return pass. Else, that is, if it's not 50 or more, that is, if it is less than 50, then it should return, I do not want to say fail. Okay, it sounds very unpleasant to me. So let me say NP. Okay, so how do we do that? So let's see. I'll just enter equals, then I type if, then I open a bracket. Now let's enter the logical test. Now the logical test is going to be, let's take the first person, okay. We are going to click on the total score of the first person and check if his score is 50 or more, that is, it's greater than or equal to 50. That is 50 or more. Another way of saying 50 or more is saying greater than 49. Do you know if I had written E2 greater than 49 here, it's the same as saying E2 greater than or equal to 50? It's important you know that. Okay. Then, comma. Now, what I'm going to say is that if it is true that E2 is greater than or equal to 50, then it should return pass. So let's enter that pass. So to enter the pass, we put it in quotes. Okay, pass. Okay, then we close the quote. Comma. Else, that is, if the person's total score is not 50 or more, then it should say fail. So let me just say NP. Is that okay? Simple as that. So we are going to enter the logical test. Is that okay? Then if the logical test is true for that person, the value it should return, we enter it in quote, comma. If the logical test is false, then it should return this value. So let's close the bracket and then hit on the enter key. So you see that this one returns NP because the person's score is less than 50. So we are going to copy this formula to the other cells. And to do that, we come to the down right click on it, hold and drag to the last. Is that okay? It will be pasted in the other cells. I've seen that. But what if the students were many? You have over 2,000 students and the likes. That dragging thing will waste your time. So don't do that. Just come to the down right corner here, as I said. You are going to right click, but you double do it. You double click it. Okay. So you double click. So it will be pasted in the other cells. Have you seen that? So you see that this person's score is more than 50. That's why I get a pass. This is exactly 50, but we set the condition that it should be exactly 50 or more to get a pass. So have you seen? So those that theirs is less than 50, they get NP. You see that? Good. Now let's look at another way we can use the if function. Okay, so let me do that here. Now, assuming we wanted to assign grade, okay, let's say 80 or more is A, then below 80 but 70 or more should be B, then below 70, then 60 or more should be C, something that way. So how do we do that using the if function? So this is what we do. Look at it. We are going to say equals, then we type if, then open brackets. Pay attention here, okay, it's very important. Now we are going to enter the first logical test. What is the first logical test? The first logical test is that the person should get 80 or more. So let's enter the first logical test. So we click on the total score, then we say greater than or equal to 80. You see that? Comma. Then we return if it is actually, if the person's score is 80 or more, then the value it should return, if it is true that the person gets 80 or more, should be an A. So let's put that in quotes. Okay, A. You get it. Comma. Then the next one is going to be value if false. But this is how we are going to do it in this case, because we'll be having multiple logical tests. So this is what we are going to do this time around. We can't just say B. If we say B, those who get 20 in poll get B. So we can't just say that. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to re-enter the if function again. That if the first logical test is not true, you let me write it in the formula bar. Please look at the formula bar at the top here. I hope you can see it here. Now, please observe it closely. Now I'm saying, sir, you should first check if the person gets 80 or more. Then you should return A for the person. But if this logical test is not true, then you should go ahead and check another if again. So let's see the second if. So you should go ahead and check this also. You should check again if that same cell, this same cell, cell E2, is greater than or equal to 70. If the second condition happens to be true, that is, given that the first logical test wasn't true, given that the first logical test wasn't true, if the second logical test happens to be true, then it should return a B for the person. Are you with me? In quote. Comma. Now, if the second condition is also not true, you know, in the bracket for the second if, we should also have value if not true, isn't it? So we are going to set another if again, the third if. So we are going to say if, then we open bracket. If that same cell, cell E2, you should also check again, okay, if cell E2 is greater than or equal to 60. That is, we are saying here, if you check the first logical test and it is not true, then you should check this logical test. If this is also not true, then you should go ahead and check this. Then we enter comma space, then we put in code C. Okay, we put C in code. That if the first logical test is not true, the second one is also not true, things to be true, the person should get a C. But if the third one is also not true, then we go ahead and set another if again. That you should also check again. Okay, so let's set the next condition. That if that same cell, cell E2 again, okay, is greater than or equal to 50. We are now checking 50. That will be D, right? So we give a grade of what? D. I hope you are observing that. We give D. Now, what if this one too is not true? All the previous logical tests are not true, and this is also not true. What next should happen? So, comma, we set another if again. If within the same bracket, okay, if then we open bracket, then we click on the same score again, E2, then we check again. If it is also greater than or equal to 40, then the person should be given a grade of E. So we enter E, you see, in quote, comma. Now, we are at the last point now. You know, if it is 40 or more, you get E. And then if it's less than 40, you are going to get an F. So, since we are at the last point now, we are at the last limit, the else is going to be less than 40. That is an F. We don't need to set any other if again. We just mention the F straightforward in quote. Okay, the F is the last point. That is, if this first logical test is not true, okay, if the person doesn't get more than 80, if it doesn't also get more than 70, if it's also not more than 60, if it's also not 50 or more, if it is also not 40 or more, else, that is below 40, then it should be F straightforward. Then after that, you are going to close the brackets the number of times you open them. Are you with me? Look at this. You open brackets here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also be checking the colors. So we are going to close it 5 times as well. So let's close the first one. We close the first one. You see that when I close the first one, the color matches with the color of the last one. When I close it the second time, this new color matches the color of this fourth one here. You see that? When I close it the third time, this new color matches the color of the third one here. Then when I close it the fourth time, this new color matches the color of the second one here. You see that? Then when I close it the fifth time, which is the last time, the last color will match the color of the beginning. You see that? Let me re-explain this formula or function. What I'm saying is that Excel should check for this person, for this first call, it should check if this first call is 80 or more, then it should give the person an A. But if it is not, then it should also check again if it is 70 or more. if the second logical test is true, it should give the person a B. But if the second logical test is also not true, then you should check another logical test, which is if it gets 60 or more, then it should give the person a C. But if the third logical test is also not true, then you should go ahead and check another logical test. Okay, and this new one is that if the person gets 50 or more, that it should be below 60, but it should be 50 or more. You see that? Then the person should be assigned a grade of D. Else, if this is also not true, then you should go ahead and check if the person actually gets 40 or more. Since the person is also not getting this one, then let's check if the person has gotten 40 or more. So if the person gets 40 or more, then you get an E. But if it is not 40 or more also, definitely it's going to be below 40. So below 40, straightforward, is going to be F. You don't need to assign any logical test to that again. You see that? So you just hit on the enter key. So you see that the first person has been assigned a grade of E. Okay, that is 49. 49, 40 to 49 is E, right? So let me click on the first cell, then I come to the down right corner here. So you can click, hold and drag, or you can double click. You write double click, okay? So let me double click to get the rest. You see that? So this person gets 72, so that's a B. So this is 81, that's A. You see that? So the grade has been assigned for each student. Okay. Now another way we can do this is by using another function called IF function, IFS function. Okay. But I have this function on mine. Okay. But I've noticed that people have different versions or different Excel, and then they don't have it on this. Okay. So to make things simple, just open your Google Chrome. Okay. Now when you open your Google Chrome, go to a new tab and then enter Microsoft account. Okay, type Microsoft account. If you do not have Microsoft account, you sign up. Okay, but if you have, you just log in. So you can enter Microsoft 365. Then you log in or register a new account. So if you are registering a new account, you can use your Google account, okay, your email account to register a new account. Okay, then you can take you to the Excel, you can click on it and then open it here. Okay. So the if function, I'm going to enter it in Excel. Actually there's something I wanted to tell you. It's not only Microsoft that has spreadsheets. Okay. Google also has some. Let me show you how to get it on Google. Okay, not Microsoft. Google themselves, another company, Google, they also have the spreadsheet. To get it, you can just click on this icon here. Okay. So when you click on it, so just scroll down a little bit, you see sheets. You see that this one, sheets. Okay, just click on this. When you click on it, you get Excel also. Okay, it's called Google Sheet. It's not called Microsoft Excel, like how the Microsoft one is. But it has the functions and the formulas we are using in Excel. It's having them also. So you can use this one also. Is that okay? Yeah. So let's go back to the one I was talking about. Now to use the if function for the first person, okay, so let's just click on the cell for the first person. Then you are going to enter equals. Let me just enter the formula. So this is how you use the if function. You enter total score, you check if it's greater than or equal to 80, then you should be given A, comma. Then the second condition, if it is greater than or equal to 70, you should be given B. If greater than or equal to 60, you should be given C. If greater than or equal to 50, that's as if the other ones are not true, and then this is true, you should be given B. Then if all these are also not true, and then E is rather greater than 40, you should E. But if all the previous conditions are not true, you should also check if E is less than 40, then the person should be given F. You see that? That is if you are using the IFS one or the ifs. That's how you do it. Is that okay? So when I hit on the enter key, you see that I get the E. So you can click on the first one, come to the down right corner here. Then you click, hold and drag, or you double click. So when I double click, I get the rest. You get it. So that is how to use the if and the ifs function. So in the next tutorial, we are going to look at another function. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial.